Hey guys, this is Robin1 here, and I'm here to do a review for Flash Sound of something. Yeah, so this episode, has many interesting elements to it. And the villain definitely promises to be a major character who is going to introduce a lot of interesting elements for the rest of the season. So basically in this episode we're introduced to a former protégé of Harrison Wells, and the protégé is revealed to be Pied Piper. I don't know very much about Pied Piper, but this version was pretty cool. And basically, Pied Piper is a technological genius, working at S.T.A.R Labs, and Pied Piper basically discovers, that the particle accelerator wouldn't work. He also has a bit of rivalry with Cisco as well. And basically Pied Piper returns after having gone missing, and basically attacks Harrison Wells. And this leads to a chain of events that leads to a lot of major interesting elements for the show. So let's start out with Harrison Wells. This character continues to be fascinating. I really like this character. Harrison Wells is just such an interesting character, and we learn quite a bit about his role as Reverse Flash, and also he might actually still be paralyzed, and not in the way, not in the way that we think. Spoilers, I know the episode has only just come out, but I really want to talk about this, so I'm gonna put up a spoiler disclaimer. Don't watch the rest of this episode moving forward, because I'm about to talk about a lot of interesting stuff regarding Harrison Wells and Reverse Flash. And if you don't want to know that, leave now, and come back after you've watched the episode. You have 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Harrison Wells basically has difficulties absorbing the Speed Force. This is a fascinating idea, and let me just explain to you. So basically, Harrison Wells is actually paralyzed from the legs down, but not necessarily for the reasons that we think, for the reasons that he presented. Basically, the Speed Force energy allows him to use his legs. And it turns out that the reason why he stole the tachyon accelerator in The Man in the Yellow Suit is because he's using that costume thing as a source of energy. It's basically allowing him to absorb all the Speed Force energy that keeps him being able to use his legs. That to me was really, really interesting, and it's really interesting just to see them build upon these layers with Harrison Wells. Yeah, as you can tell, I really, really liked that idea. I think the idea was just, again, really, really interesting. And my theory is that somehow, and it also explains why Harrison Wells is seeking other means of absorbing absorbing powers. And basically why he's experimenting on the other metahumans is because he's trying to keep his power. And it leads to a theory that I think I think Harrison Wells is going to find a way of absorbing I can't remember his name, Flash, absorbing Flash's power. It was the one with the electric metahuman who actually accomplished that feat of absorbing Flash's Speed Force, and I think that's going to happen towards the end of the season, and it's going to lead the team having to rely on Pied Piper, who we'll now get to. The Pied Piper was a good villain. He wasn't anything like amazing, but he was a very, very good villain, and I think he introduces a lot of interesting components to the rest of the season. First off, he seems to have some idea about the Firestorm project, and he seems to know how to help Ronnie in some way. Second of all, he has the knowledge of how to defeat Flash, so I reckon the team might end up using him to defeat Reverse Flash, which will then mean Pied Piper might go onto the reverse, onto Captain Colt's team, onto the Rogues. I think that's what they're called. Yeah, I think that will lead Pied Piper to go and join the Rogues for Season 2. And again, Pied Piper has opened a lot of interesting elements again, because he knows about Ronnie. He knows how to defeat Flash, and therefore possibly Reverse Flash. The Pied Piper basically stepped up the game for the villains of this show. And what I also like is that Pied Piper has a personal connection to Harrison Wells. And it sort of mirrors the relationship between between Flash and Harrison Wells. But also establishes that Flash really does value his father figures, especially Iris West's father. Finally, we get onto Iris West herself. Iris West was pretty good. She's now stepping more into that Lois Lane role, which I like. And she's also becoming a reporter, and I just like that element. And then we also have Detective West and Eddie Thorne investigating Harrison Wells. Again, many interesting elements in this episode. Overall, I think the episode was okay. It wasn't anything amazing, but it's definitely a very, very important episode that has many interesting elements being pulled in, which I really like. So, yeah. Guys, I'm Robin One here, and thank you very much for listening to me ramble on about Flash. I am really enjoying the show. And reviewing these TV shows, although they're very long, and there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are still coming out even now. The one thing I will have to say about these shows is that they're good. Flash, every single time I've turned it on, has had a good episode. And that I really like. So, yeah. Thank you very much for listening to me again. I very much value your opinions. So don't hesitate to leave comments below on any of my videos. Even let me know how you like Flash. Even let me know about comic books you're reading. Anything. Leave them in the comments. I'm eager for you guys to, for this year and years in the future, to have some interaction with me. So yeah. I'm gonna go because I'm starting to ramble. Bye.